Welcome to the Lessons Learned podcast, a podcast reflecting on the lessons we've learned and those we're still in the process of learning. I'm Komal, your host. I'm an interviewer, investor, and someone who has lived a lot of life in a short time. I built this podcast as a place for us to reflect, to be together, and to learn from one another. Let's get into it. Welcome to this episode of Lessons in Resilience. Today I'm interviewing the incredible Monique Bryan. Monique is a cancer survivor, an entrepreneur, and coach. And when you meet her, you're just going to feel the joy come off of her. She emanates joy, she emanates light, and she has so much to teach us today. So I'm so excited for us to dive in with Monique. Yes. But I'm so excited for us to be having this conversation today for this Lessons in Resilience series. As I've learned more about your story, you truly are the epitome of a resilient being. And I was reading more about you and the way that you described the purpose and clarity that came after your cancer diagnosis and through the process of your survival of cancer is just so powerful. Can you share what that was like for you and what clarity came to you when that diagnosis hit just shortly after your 36th birthday?
Yeah, for sure. The clarity that comes, I was saying this today, I was like, the cancer diagnosis was the best and the worst thing that could have happened. The worst because I would never wish it on anybody. However, I don't know how else I would have gotten the clarity I got had it not been as dramatic as it was, right? Like sometimes we need to get hit in the face in order to move towards our dream. Right. So for me, it was going through, I went through 8 rounds of chemo, 21 rounds of radiation surgery. And, I was one of the lucky ones who did get to keep my breast, but, I have many friends who did not. But while I was going through chemo, because it takes you out of the game in a way I'd never experienced. And there's no way to describe a chemotherapy to anyone who's never had it, right? Like, I don't know how to explain feeling like someone kicked you down the stairs and then ran over you with a Mack truck for an extended period of time where you just can't move, think, or function. But while I was laying there, I remember thinking, like, if God gets me out of this, like if I have a second chance, I am not going to waste it. I said, there was no way. All of the little things I took for granted before, simple things like going outside, driving to the grocery store, walking around without losing all of your breath, like at the time I wasn't even able to put on makeup. I was so sensitive to, and I love me my makeup. I could barely wear clothes because I was getting these hot flashes that would like make me want to pull my clothes off in the street. So like all these little things I took for granted, I was like having this new appreciation for every single moment, every single thing. And I said, if I get out of this, I said, I am going to make it my mission to push other people towards the same. Like, I don't want them to have to hear the words, you have cancer, in order to move.
Wow.
That was my realization.
Yeah, I resonate so deeply because I am also a fellow cancer survivor.
Cancer sister!
Yes! In my case, I didn't need chemo, or chemo and radiation would have exacerbated the type of cancer that I had, radiation specifically. So it was just surgeries, not just, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But it truly is just like, there's nothing quite like that slap in the face and that experience. But on the other side, when you, like, for me, I had like a post-cancer depression for a long time. And it was just like this haze over me that took me a long time to move through, because there was that self-doubt about like, why did I get survivor's guilt? Why did I get to have a quote unquote easy cancer? Why did I survive through this? How do I move through this heaviness towards purpose? And when you gained that clarity, when you came through that diagnosis and your treatment, how did you map out those steps for yourself, those next right steps for you as you found your footing again to be able to serve in the way that you do?
I would love to say there was a plan, but I am telling you, I had no plan other than a fire of what if I'm not here tomorrow? That's the only plan I had. I was like, okay, I know I want to coach women in business. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? okay, launch a website. But the old me, because I had 2 businesses before this, I was like, I didn't care what the name was. I was like, put up a picture, put up a bio, put up a button to click. Before that, I was spending all my time trying to build the right website, trying to get the right name. And a lot of people, I know can relate to that. Like, I want to get it right. There was no plan. It was, this is happening. And if I'm not here tomorrow, I want to go out feeling I was doing everything I could be doing. Wow. And that's the only plan I had. I said, I know I'm meant to inspire people with this story, because I was sharing so much on social media, the messages that we're getting from women who were going through similar, some to different varying degrees, because no cancer is the same, no cancer journey is the same. And the conversations I was having with complete strangers, to this day I've never met, all over the world, I was like, why is it nobody's talking about this? Nobody's talking about it for whatever reason. And nobody in my life was talking about it. None of my friends were checking themselves. And I was like, the more research I did, the more I was like, 1 in 8 women? Was anyone gonna tell anybody about this? Why am I hearing about this on the street?
Yes.
Right? I was like, nobody's talking about this. Is crazy. So I said, I have to be the voice if no one else is going to be the voice. So the plan I had was like, go shout it from the rooftops, whatever it is, and whoever's going to listen is going to listen. I had 0 plan. I had no plan. I was like, we're going.
Get on.
We're going.
Get on
That's
board.
it. That's
Let's
it.
go.
That's it. The train's moving out the station. The train is already out the station, and sometimes I think, like, just anything we're building, sometimes we plan too much and we don't know. There's no way to know. The only way to know is in the doing. Yes. Right? So now I live in the doing.
So as you're in the doing, my experience is such that wellness had to become such an anchor in my life after my recovery. And so what does that look like for you? So you're in the doing now. You came through that very hard season on your body. Mm-hmm. What does wellness look like to you? How do you anchor in your days?
Oh gosh, girl, this is like a never ending trying to make it happen.
Right?
But it is, and you think, I say this to myself, I'm like, Monique, you think that cancer would have made you a lot more diligent than you are right now. But what's funny is when I was going through it, I was healthy before I got cancer, which really gave me a real mind, mess with me, because I was like, I don't understand. I'm super healthy. I got it anyways. People are way worse off than me. They didn't get it. What's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. And then while I was healing, I was very diligent with what I ate and what I did and the meditate, like everything. And then when I came out of it, I had missed all those foods and things. So I was doing the opposite. I was like, give me every sugary sweet ever created. Fries, but donut, ice cream, pizza, burgers, all of it. Everything. So now it is a constant battle with being healthy, knowing that that's the thing that keeps me grounded. So one thing I do, I definitely, I work out minimum like 4 times a week, first thing in the morning. Like I open my eyes. I hate working out. So the first thing I do is I put on my workout clothes, because I know if I don't, I won't do it.
Yes.
So definitely that gets like the serotonin flow in, like everything is right with the world if I worked out that day.
Yes.
The other thing I do is I try to eat as clean as I can without making myself crazy and feeling guilty when I don't.
Yes.
Right? I meditate before I go to sleep. So I do headspace before when I close my eyes, shut the day down. And then before, COVID, it was planning the getaways. Like I love a getaway, a travel. And when you can't do that, that really messed with me for a minute. But then I've rediscovered Ontario. Like I'm rediscovering places I didn't even know exist and would never have gone otherwise. Like if someone said there's a beach 2 hours from me, I'd be like, who's going to the, what do you even talk?
You can go to Sandbanks and it's like the ocean. You're like, okay, what are you saying?
First time I've ever been to Sandbanks was like last month. I was like, where have you been my whole life? Where have you been? Oh, and it's just, so now it's like being near water grounds me. Like I just came back from I rented a Airbnb with a business friend, and we were like, let's take our meeting to a better location. And we were like right on the lake, pink sunsets. I was like, this is it just brings you back to what are we doing? What are we doing? Yes. So planning that time off, making it as fun and as interesting as possible. I love my work, but it's not going to be the only thing that fulfills me. I realized that over time. So experiences keep me fired up.
Absolutely. And something that you shared that I think is so important for folks who are building new habits is the trigger. So you have your workout clothes just set for you in the morning.
Just like roll into
Just
them.
there.
Like,
Yes, exactly. You're like, okay, these are going on my body, so I actually can do this commitment for myself that I know is really good for me. So for those who are listening, like that habit trigger is so key. And in all these interviews I've been doing for Lessons in Resilience and the folks I've interviewed prior, those three things always people come back to them is like nutrition, like what feels good for your body, movement, how can you make your body feel good through movement? Like in this launch period for me, I'm launching a program right now, staying stagnant, my spine, I can feel the stuckness. Yes. And so like spending last night doing lots of yoga and just getting that movement back in. And then mindfulness and meditation, like that space that you can create in your mind, which I didn't do my meditation this morning, so I can feel that chaos coming in. But it's the daily things, like even if we can get to one thing for ourselves, it's so, so useful, especially in these chaotic times. So Monique, when you're looking at the women that you're coaching right now and that you are walking through this season with, how are you seeing them adapt to the intensity of COVID? And what's your advice to people who are facing hard times in their business and trying to find their footing right now?
So what I'll say, one, I'll say hi. I didn't see everybody's, but I recognize some faces. And the person who asked me if I still make jewelry, I absolutely do not. That was like my first entrepreneurial venture, and it taught me a lot, but I have zero desire to make any physical product for myself. And I advise everyone else who's doing shipping with drop ship your life, ship your life. But with COVID, you know, everyone has gone through so many different feelings in like a day, not even in the span of the months, but in a day. And I was like, you know, a lot of questions came around from my clients, just like, should I be selling now? And what do I do? And I was going to launch this thing. And I had to really pause because I was like, should I be selling now? Like all of these things. And what I realized, luckily all good coaches have coaches.
Yes.
Right. And my coach, she's been through like the recession of 2008 and losing her entire life, like everything. And so she gave me so many great words of wisdom that I could then pass on. And it was like, really, if you're not making any money, how does that help anybody? If you have a message and you have a purpose and you have a service that can help other people, it may not be for everyone for where they're at right now, but somebody out there needs it. They're sitting at home. They ain't got shit to do. They're now having a conversation around, oh my gosh, I've got all of this time to move in my dream. So they're looking for tools. They're looking for coaches. They're looking for like the right type of curated information to give them a shortcut to where they want to go. So for us to take ourselves offline, I really felt like that was going to be a disservice. So that is really the message that I bring to my clients. It's, if you've got something that's going to serve and be in service of others, whether that's paid or unpaid, then it's your responsibility to be out here, period. Whatever that looks like. If that means you'll feel better if you do a free masterclass and then, you know, you still have your paid services, whatever, like do a hybrid, but we all need to move online now. Like if you weren't before, you is now. Let's go. So this was a great thing to push you into that direction. But also I think it's a great, unfortunate for what the situation is, but it's also like a great lesson in the pivot, like in entrepreneurship, period. It's all uncertainty all the time. Risk is all the time. We don't know where the money's coming from all the time. 0%. We don't know, right? We don't know if this team member is going to work out. We don't know if this launch is going to do well. Launches are so hard.
They're so hard.
And people think it's just like, oh, you come on here. You're like, oh, let's do the launch. It is like 2 to 3 months planning and then you've got to get, like you said, you got your health, you got to get your health right, your mental state right, you got to take care of you so you can show up to do and then you got to go teach the thing.
And you have to live the values of what you're teaching, you know? And it's like, that is so critical as someone who is in business to launch. It's like, you can't be peddling what you're not living. And so it's so important. And that's, I think, why your work is so powerful, because you live so authentically what you're putting into the world. And
I have to,
there's no way around it, especially right now. Like you can smell the bullshit online.
100%. And people are be looking for the bullshit. They are looking for it. So
Because
don't you dare come incorrect.
Traveling, there's no fancy cars. There's like none of that people can hide behind right now.
No,
it's just
you can't
the
go
real,
take that
real.
picture with your jet by the plane that you rented. You know what I mean? You can't do that right now. You can't do that right now. So people are like, looking. Hey, Solita. Welcome, Janine.
Let's see. Any questions coming in the comments as well? Just let us know.
You'll probably see them on your side. I can't see them as much on my side.
Okay.
They're just giving me like one little thing at the time, Instagram.
So as you are, like, when you were going through that very difficult season, because for a lot of people, it might not be a cancer diagnosis, but it might be that the pandemic has truly taken the wind out of their life, or other grief. They're like, because the thing about the pandemic is life, the regular traumas in life continue.
Right.
And so when you were in that difficult season, what kept you going? How did you remain committed to the next step forward, to taking that next right step every day?
One, I will say my support systems are everything. It was funny because I did a live today with somebody and we talked about there's the outside support systems and then there's the support systems you create for yourself internally, right? So one, I had to keep my mind right. I knew the mind and the body are connected. I know if my mind goes off and it's like, it's defeated, it's done, we're over, the body won't heal. And I was coming back healing. I don't care what anybody says. So both of them were so connected that I was like, okay, what do I need to feed my mind in order for me to show up? Because I mean, I'm just somebody I know. I don't like horror movies. I don't like thrillers. I don't like anything bad involving children. Like, I don't want to watch that stuff. They're great. Some of the pieces are critically acclaimed, but my psyche, my body could not take it. I couldn't have any angst. So I had to feed my body. So that's like for anybody going through anything, you've got to feed your mind and your body 24/7. Like, and that, if that means podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube, like the good stuff, the juicy, meaty stuff. Look at people who've been where you were. I read up a lot about different cancer survivors who are still here when the doctor said you ain't going, you got this much time. Doctors don't know nothing.
No.
I'm sorry. They know how to make medicines. They know to administer.
They know diagnosis. They know what they know. And there is another element to this.
100%. And it was so, and that's cancer taught me that, very, very clearly, because you've got the naturopathic way where the doctor's got something to say, and then the other doctors, nobody agrees.
And
nobody
it's
agrees.
Interesting too. Sorry to come into this.
No, go ahead.
But that both industries just completely deny the other when it's truly like the middle ground.
Oh my God.
You have the functional medicine, you've got traditional medicine, but there is this aspect of like mindset, energy, what you're doing.
Of course.
And it has to be both.
It has to be both. I don't know how you can do with one without the other. It has to be both. So, I mean, girl, you and I can have a whole session on just what the doctors are doing. But it also taught me that I have to be the advocate for my own health. I have to be the advocate for so regardless of what they're doing, I can't rely on them anyways. I got to do what I got to do. Yeah. Right. So doing my own research, feeding my mind, feeding my body, and then being really conscious of the people who are around me and who I let in that circle. I love my people, but there are certain people who I could not have been around me during that time. I was like, their energy's off, or they just always say the wrong thing. They don't want
We know those people.
Right? It's like, I feel bad because I wouldn't know what to always say to somebody with cancer either. However, there are people who still are worse off than others. So I just had to put a shield. I had to put my protective shield where only very few people. The boundary. That's it. The boundary of, listen, this is as far as you can go. I love you. When I'm feeling more like I can have a mental debate about something, which was never, because you're going through it, who has time? Yeah. Then we will reconvene. But there's some people I didn't talk to for like over a year. I just couldn't. I had no energy for it. So your outside support systems and what you're creating for your inside support systems are definitely the pieces that got me through.
And I think this conversation about boundaries is so important because in my journey, it was actually not my cancer diagnosis and survival that helped me understand the importance of boundaries, because I was still in a manipulative relationship at the time in my business. It was another illness a few months later. It was a neurological illness that actually just made my brain go like, I can't function. There's too much stress. There's too much shit that's happening in your life. You're not doing your thing. That actually made me wake up. And I think some people forget that we get to decide who we let into our life, into our world, because we've been conditioned to think otherwise. So have boundaries always been easy for you? Or like, was it that period of time where you got really good at establishing them? What was your experience with boundaries?
I would say I'm pretty good with boundaries in that because I'm so vocal, which gets me in trouble.
I have learned that. This is
gets me in trouble. But when the cancer happened, it became even that much more like a non-negotiable. Like I guess I kind of compare it to like my friends who have children. They're like, Monique, my patience is, this is how much I've got. So whatever happens to happen in there. So it's just like when you don't have the physical or mental capacity to take on any outside forces, I found I was a lot more clear with my communication. Like, I would love to have a conversation with you. However, this conversation, like telling them in advance, I don't know how long the conversation is going to be gonna last, because I don't know how long I'm going to last. This may last 10 minutes. It may last 5 minutes. It may last 15 minutes. No, it's not any reflection on you, but I need to take care of me. Right? So it did take some communication for sure. I also created a blog, like I put it all online. It's called Surprise It's Cancer. It's still there. And every week people could read what's going on with Monique. This is what's going on. This is what the idiot doctor said. This is what the good doctor said. This is what the good nurses said. This is what, so people kind of came on the journey with me as well. So it helped educate them on how to deal with anyone in their life who may also be dealing with some kind of illness. But it also gave me a really great outlet to say what I wanted to say without it directly being like affecting a person, because people take it very personally, right? So if I say it in a general term, people just knew to like read it and be like, oh, did I say that to her last time I spoke to her?
Was that me? Is she talking about me?
Right? So I kind of did a little bit under the radar, but the communication piece, it's all we have.
Yes. And I think once we have those boundaries established, it's crazy how much more energy we can get and much more space and just grounding we have for ourselves. But I know that can be a really sticky thing for some folks to navigate, because it was really hard for me when I was younger. But now it's like, here's a boundary. We do not cross. Do not pass go. It's not. Do not.
You don't want to pass this. You don't want to do that.
No,
don't do that to yourself.
Idea.
Don't do that.
So since your recovery, this conversation is around purpose and clarity from hard times. Have you found yourself questioning that clarity that you got during that period of time in your journey of building your business? Because that self-doubt can sometimes come up, or has it just been so clear to you since that time?
Oh no, doubt comes up all the time. Doubt does not go anywhere, guys. Nowhere. Every time I do a masterclass, and some of you guys have been on there, like the day before or the day of, I go to my husband, I'm like, do I know what I'm doing? Is this he's like, you do this every time. He's like, you just did it last Saturday. I'm like, I don't know if I know what I'm doing.
It's different now.
I don't know what I'm doing. Do I know what I'm doing? All the time. I launch anything newly. I send out email. Like I always, the conversation is had, but the difference is I bounce back from it faster. Yes. Like I can talk to the voice versus the voice running the show. Like it'll say something to me. I'll be like, please shut up. Please shut up. I'm in the middle of a launch right now. I can't with you. I can't with you, voice. That's the difference. But the conversation is had all the time. Who do you think you are? And what are people going to think? And, oh, Monique, you're too much and you're too extra and this. And I was like, I can't, like you said, you've got to walk and talk your brand and be who you are. It's like, if I'm going to tell my clients to come out and be their authentic self, I don't get to hide, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it hurts, even when I don't want to do it. It's like, I try and hold on to my bigger purpose, right? Like right now I do personal branding. I help people be visible. I do brand shoots, all of those things. All of those things are important if you want to be seen, because you need to be seen in order for people to hear your message. But my purpose is the message. It's your story. It's women living in purpose. It's you creating legacy for you, your family, and your generations. That is my big why. The other stuff is just is the vehicle for the big juicy piece, right? So I try to hold on to, like, Monique, what will your legacy be? What will it be? Is it that you let it take you out because you didn't want to go on the masterclass because you're afraid of the tech and it's going to shut down on the Zoom? Or you're going to be afraid to hit record because you forgot to hit record and you didn't, thank goodness you didn't promise the replay because there was no. I do stuff like that all the time. I get to the end of it, I'm like, so I didn't record everybody, but I didn't promise a replay. So I love you. Bye. Right?
Yeah,
like,
bye. You'll get the replay of the next one that you weren't a part of, but it's okay. It's okay.
Right? And Ashma, she's on here. She's my tech specialist. Thank goodness for her.
She's doing Facebook ads for me. She's incredible.
Oh my goodness! Look at that, Ashma. You know,
live in. She's the best.
She is, but Ashma, don't do it. Like I don't want to really share you with too many people. She's okay, but Ashma, let's talk about this. You're getting too popular.
Too big.
Everybody loves you. Everybody loves you.
I think something that you shared there around, like, again, coming back to living what we're teaching. I think that's also something we need people to hear is like that thing that you want to teach, that thing that you want to share in the world. Once you start, you will become that person that you've always wanted to be. Because in this launch journey, even for me, in those moments when I'm down, I ask myself, you're teaching resilience. Are you going to practice your resilience in this moment? Yes. And then it helps build me back up. So that thing that you're meant to give to the world, people who are tuning in, do it. Because once you do, you will start living in an even more powerful way that
100%.
You've always dreamed for yourself.
It's like learning who you know yourself to be, but you didn't know it until you do it. You didn't know it was in you until it's like you felt it, but once the proof is in the pudding, right? Like you see yourself do the thing and you're like, oh, I'm that thing. I'm the thing. I'm the one, right? Yeah. So I love that.
Yes. And so to wrap it up, because I'm mindful of our time, how do you choose the people that you work with when it comes to your coaches? Because there are folks that are trying to find their way right now. And I've had so many people ask me, and I talked about this with my friend Sahej last week around therapists specifically, how you choose your therapists. How do you choose the coaches that you work with in your business?
Mine are very energetically aligned. So all of my discovery calls are video on purpose. I need to know that I am going to come with 110% of Monique. I mean, that means I'm going to give you all my energy and all my time, 100%. So you energetically need to be aligned for that. That's one. So I go on vibe. That's one. But two, what's your big purpose behind the whole thing? Money is never the driver. It can't be. It won't sustain. So if I believe in what you're out to create and I think I can take you there, then I will do it with you. Whether you're shy, you're an introvert, I'm an extrovert. So I attract a lot of introverts because they're like, I want some of that. But if I believe that you want this, and one of the questions I ask in my questionnaire is like, why now? Why now? What's going to happen if you don't have this? That is how I know if you're the one, right? People who are like, take a complete responsibility for their life, for their actions, for how things have been, right? But are willing to grow and learn. And they're like, just tell me what to do and I can get this done. I want this. I need this. Like I'm building something like that. Those are the people I want to work with because I know when things get hard, I can remind them of that and it will push them.
Yes.
Those are my people. Those are my people.
Yes. And that the support system we choose around us, the
everything
programs we take, the people we interact with, the coaches we hire, the therapists we work with, all of it is that ecosystem of keeping us well, of keeping the energy high, of keeping our mind in the place it needs to be for us to get to the goals that we want to hit.
100%. 100%. I love how you said that ecosystem of wellness is all of those people. We cannot get there alone. None of us are standing here alone. I did not get here by myself, cancer or no cancer. There was somebody at every single step of the way that held my hand, cheered me on, picked me up off the floor, reminded me of where I was going, reminded me of who I was, like lent me money, whatever it was, there was somebody there. So be willing to ask for help, know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are, double down on your strengths, forget your weaknesses and outsource that bad boy.
Thank you, Ashima, for letting me outsource my ads to you.
Oh, Ashima, we love you so much.
But thank you so much, Monique. This was such a wonderful conversation. And before we wrap up, can you share what's ahead for you? What should people be looking out for? What do you want people to know? Okay, well, one, everybody come follow me on Instagram because Instagram is my jam. That's one. Two, I just launched actually today, the Juice with Mo After Hours. So every Monday, starting next Monday at 6 o'clock, we're going to do a big giant Zoom call with whoever wants to be there, have conversation, get special guests, all of that, totally free. And then on August the 22nd, I'm doing a free masterclass for coaches, Instagram secrets for coaches. So
That's what's coming up.
Amazing. Everybody go check out Monique on Instagram, as she shared. And before we wrap up, I'm going to share a little bit about my program. We are wrapping up registration tonight, 11:59 p.m.
Get in it, guys.
Is my masterclass series on resilience and leadership, a 4-week program focused on my roots of resilience, community, wellness, impact and identity, work, and can't remember my last one right now because that's just how life goes. But I'm so excited to have our guests joining us, including Lavia Jai Jones, Valerie Cord, Deepika Motiala, and Mina B. And if you are looking for a place for having more conversations like this incredible one between me and Monique, to find that clarity you need for your next right step, then the next right step is for you. So check it out. Registration closes tonight at midnight. Thank you so much, Monique. You gave us so many gems. This was such a blast, and I'm so happy to have met you over IG Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to follow me, Komal, check me out on Instagram at KOMALMINHAS or the show at lessonslearned.co. And if you have an idea of a lesson that we should dive into on the show, then slide into our DMs and submit there or on the website, along with any guests you think I should interview and talk all of the things with. As always, I hope that you make some time for you this week and reflect on the lessons you're learning or have learned, and take some time to celebrate all the incredible that is you. Until next time, guys. Bye!